Some horror games offer little more than cheap jump scares and buckets of gore, but Devotion is the kind of psychological horror with the potential to keep you thinking for weeks after you've beaten it. It's expertly paced and doesn't stick around long enough for its mechanical simplicity to overstay its welcome, yet in its 3 hours it delivers a powerfully unsettling story. And it does it all without ever having a single fully animated character on screen for more than a few seconds. In Devotion, you take on the role of screenwriter Du Feng-yu as he experiences a surreal journey through the past in order to unravel the threads of what happened to his wife and daughter. Similar to other first-person horror games like PT, Devotion mostly takes place in the family's modest apartment home. It's a choice of setting that makes room for excellent character development as you discover mementos and items across multiple years within the home, effectively telling the family's story. Devotion's story is so good and full of so much powerful imagery that it's easy to overlook its claustrophobic environment and simple design. The designers at Red Candle Games have a fine understanding of not only pacing, but the importance of keeping horror elements measured and deliberate. There's only one section where you can actually lose, so most of the horror is less about trying not to die and more about twisted imagery and defiled innocence, combined with profoundly passionate voice acting and haunting sound design. The family home is established as not only a physical place to explore, but also a metaphor for Du Feng-yu and his family as a whole. As you get deeper into Devotion, you're transported to different time periods in the story, and elements of the apartment become progressively more troublesome and sinister. There is so much nuance here that the apartment never really feels like the same location between the different years. Subtle changes in the environment make the story more poignant. There is zero wasted space. Every item you can interact with, puzzle you solve, horrific scene you witness, and piece of dialogue you hear is directly tied back into the plot to further the story or add to a character's background. From poems and love letters to depressing diary entries, there is a surprising amount of exposition delivered through items, and you actually need to do some digging through menus to reread these notes and other clues to figure out puzzles. But for all the clever ways it keeps you engaged with Devotion's environmental storytelling, emotional flashbacks, and powerful anecdotes, the actual mechanical act of playing is relatively unimpressive and boring. You basically just walk into a room, inspect anything that has a dot on it in your UI, and move on. Like in an old-school point-and-click adventure, if an item is added to your inventory, then you know it's needed to solve a puzzle somewhere else. Likewise, these somewhat obtuse puzzles combined with an often agonizingly slow walking speed, and there's no run button, made Devotion feel a lot longer than it actually was. But maybe that was part of the point. Since almost nothing is actually as simple as it seems, everything from the way it's played to the long corridors and lethargic movement feed back into the metaphor of a slow mental decay. Not until the very end do all the pieces really fall into place of exactly what's going on. There are only a handful of jump scares throughout Devotion, but when they do hit, they usually hit very hard thanks to their intensity and the suffocating silence that precedes and follows each of them. From start to finish, Devotion is an excellent psychological horror game full of surreal imagery, creepy dolls, and wonderful environmental storytelling that's so effective its sometimes lackluster gameplay can't bring it down. It's not always the most exciting game to play, but the highs are extremely high and far more frequent than the occasional lows. For more spooky atmosphere, check out our reviews of Call of Cthulhu and Metro Exodus. And for everything else, stay tuned to IGN.